It will be a big mistake for you to cancel us because we're young, we're active, and we're moving the culture forward. Today's segment will just totally be different because the weather in most of laws is not as friendly as it used to be, and today we are just a bit under the weather. You could tell by the outfit that we are wearing and even the setup that we have. Because I just decided that let me just take, we couldn't shoot the whole week. We tried adjustments there and there to come up with ideas, but you know what happens when destiny never meets your ideas, then it becomes a different thing. But we still strive through even though the odds are against us, and we still make sure that we deliver. So in this week or this weekend that has just passed, we've noticed that there was a great event, which was the 2024 national elections, and we also reiterated the system of voting in which we had three ballots, be it the National Assembly ballot, and then the provincial ballot, and also the regional ballot. So, in today's episode, we'll be looking at the national ballot, which are the 200 seats of the National Assembly. Now, it is also important to state that numbers are a significant way to start up the chat, because of it will also give us a segue, or it will also give us a direction of where we are heading with this conversation. Now, if we were to look amongst the registered voters in SA, and the number, it was 200 and it was 20 sorry it was 27,782,081 voters whom were registered, whom were also noted by the IEC or were eligible to vote. And then the total number of valid votes casted, it was 16,000. It was 16,076,719. These were total votes cast that were valid, and then the spoiled votes were around 213,437. Now, in this election, according to IEC, it was one of the lowest turnouts of votes cast ever since 1994, because it was only 57.87% that decided to vote amongst the numbers that were also amassed by this. And in these elections, 1.33% were spoiled votes, meaning that around about 98% of the nation, or 98% of the registered voters, were valid votes that decided the votes. Now, instead of wasting time, I believe we should also outline some of the most disturbing numbers that we received, because remember, we are voting for 200 seats in parliament that were being fought for through this election, and some of the lowest parties, we won't even take much into consideration their numbers, but will only highlight them, those whom received seats that are below 4. So let us start from the major, going downwards to the minor ones. And the first one, it had to be ANC, which amassed about 6,459,683 votes, which, when it was calculated into percentage, it was 40.18%, and it also resulted in 73 seats, meaning that in this election, they were able to accumulate 73 seats in the National Assembly. And then the second one, it was the DA, which was able to accumulate about 3,505,735 votes. And when converted into percentage, it also gave them 21.81%, which resulted in 42 seats. And then the third party to amass large numbers, it was MK, which is from Konto Wesizwe, which received about 2,344,309 votes, and it gave them 14.58%, and which resulted in 31 seats in parliament. And then the fourth party on the list, it was the Economic Freedom Fighters, which they were able to scrape around 1,529,961 votes, which also gave them 9.52%. And it resulted in them obtaining 17 seats in parliament. And then the fifth party that also had a large chunk, but it was below a million. It was Kulturkapture Freedom Party, which had about 618,207 votes casted, and it gave them about 3.8%, which also gave them about 8 seats in National Assembly. And then the sixth party, it was the Patriotic Alliance of Gayton Mackenzie, and it received about 330,425 votes casted, and it only got about 2.06%, and that gave them about 5 seats in parliament. Then the rest of the parties that are below were able to get less than 300. So I believe it was not as tantamount, or it was not as significant to mention their numbers, but just to mention the amount of seats that they received. So we'll just only state the number of seats, and just any number that is below 1, I think I'll just refer to insignificant numbers. So in this case, I just believe that after the Patriotic Alliance, there comes VF Plus and Action SA, which obtained about 1.36 and 1.2% respectively, which each gave them about 4 seats in parliament. And then the UDM Bosa, which is Build One South Africa of Musi Maimane, and then the ATM of Mr. Zungula, and then Al Jamal, they all received about 2 seats. Their numbers were less significant in a way that they would also shape these elections. And then the ECC, PAC, UAT, Gold, and Rice, they were able to obtain a single seat in parliament, meaning that parties that are, out of all the numbers that we've also rounded up, parties that gave a significant number in the elections were 17 parties out of the 52 that were present on the ballot, being with ANC taking the major number, but also dropping below the number that they always receive, which was above 50%. Now, with the numbers that we just dropped, it showed a significant drop in EFF from the numbers that they received in the last election, and it also showed a large, significant drop in ANC numbers from the previous vote, which was obviously predicted from the polls. It was also predicted from the podcasts that were also the roundtables in podcasts that were also predicting the numbers of the ANC. Now, these were just votes of the National Assembly. I believe that the second episode that we'll have, or the episode that we'll have after the coalitions have been formed, we'd also look at what are maybe the nuances that we should be aware of, and what is also the triggering idea around those coalitions. And also will go each and every party that has a seat in parliament. Will take a look at each and every member that is there in with due diligence, because I believe as culture capture, it is also one of our mission statements to also capture the idea that we must be aware. I think from this point onwards, we must always be aware of anyone who represents us in parliament, what is their profile, and which seating do they occupy. Because even I, for myself, sometimes I used to watch parliament, but I would be so intrigued by the ideas that EFF comes with, but I only had one problem. I never understood their responsibilities in parliament, which also gave me a problem, and I couldn't understand a thing about them. So in the next episode that we'll have, I think we'll also have a rundown of who does what in parliament and what is their duties, and then how can we understand that they live up to whatever that they were delegated to, and were they right candidates of the position that they attain. So I believe in the episode that will drop on Wednesday or Thursday, we'll also take a look at the provincial results of the elections and also the regional results of the elections in respect to Limpopo, because we reside in Limpopo, but we'll also highlight other provinces that are important, because this will also trickle down to the idea that we must also have another episode that talks about the municipal, so that we can understand that whoever runs a municipal is the one whom we should also raise our concerns to. So I would like to thank you, and please like and subscribe so that this channel may grow. And we've seen a huge increase in the number of views from our studio. We've seen a large number of increase. Right now we are on 40 subscribers, so we'd like to reach about 50 subscribers by the end of June. So please like and subscribe, and also comment, so that we may know what to review, and we may also know what we should change, because I believe it is also important to also receive these reviews, as it helps us grow, and it also helps the content to be shaped in a way that is according to your liking. Remember, the YouTube algorithm is only determined by what you view. So we'd like to make content that is worthwhile, and content that is really encouraging in everything that we do. Thank you. Adios.